All right, well, let's get started, guys. Well, first of all, thank you for joining today. Hope you get some value out of this. Today, we're going to talk about marketing, right? So, a little bit about me first. I'm an agent in production at Realty One Group Executives. I got a couple of other titles too. I'm the ideologist here. So, I come up with a lot of ideas and help the team implement them. I'm also a coach and a mentor. So, people that need assistance getting their business to the next level, I'm always there to help out. And prior to real estate, I was in the software development and marketing for high tech companies for over 20 years. So I understand technology, I understand marketing. At one point in my career, I was what's called a product manager, where you take a concept from cradle to grave, right? So it's all wrapped around marketing. And my background is really in engineering. So um, we're going to dive into marketing 101 today. So I'm not sure where you guys are in your career as far as marketing goes. So this is going to be a high level kind of overview of marketing. And what I've done is, taken marketing concepts that apply, across the board, no matter what you're marketing. And I'm going to tie that down to, what we do, every day, as realtors. Um, Marketing in general, again, whether you're selling shoes or cars or lipstick or whatever, it's kind of the same idea. You want to target an audience, you want to promote a product, you want to price it correctly, and do your promotion around it. So those are like the four P's of marketing. Marketing yourself or marketing real estate is basically the same concept, right? So we're going to talk about a few things today. What is branding? What is branding to you? What does that mean? So, for example, you are your brand, right? So we're all business owners. We all have our own businesses, and we are our brand, right? So every day we're promoting ourselves, right, as an expert or whatever it is that your brand is about. That's what you're doing, right? What is marketing, right? So marketing is really promoting your brand, right? And how you do that, how you target an audience, that's marketing. And we'll talk about the difference between the two of those things. We'll also talk about CTA, which is a call to action. So that's something you want to prompt action on, right? So if you're running an ad or you've got a flyer or a door knocker, leave behind, you want to leave some sort of call to action, right? So rather than just going directly into the trash bin or in the delete bucket on your email, you want them to click on something, right? Take action. And of course, you're going to provide value for that. We're going to talk about the different tools and platforms available to you and also strategies for marketing, right? So it's great to have all these different tools and platforms, but if you don't have a strategy, it's not really going to pan out for you. We'll talk about agent branding. Again, kind of going back to what I said earlier. You're a brand. You got to make sure you market yourself and brand yourself. How are you going to market yourself as well, right? So you're going to brand yourself, and then you're going to wrap marketing around it, and then real estate marketing in general. So what's your strategy for promoting a listing or an open house or attracting buyers or whatever it is that you're focused on in your business? You may have multiple focus too, but whatever it is, you need to have some sort of strategy to market to that audience, right? Okay, so let's dig into the content. So, what is branding, right? So, branding is about your message, right? And what you want people to think of when they see or hear your name, right? So, for example, if I say Starbucks, I'm sure you have a reaction to it, right? Whether you like Starbucks or don't like Starbucks, there's some sort of thing that you're thinking about, right? When you hear Starbucks, it's a well-known brand. They've done a great job promoting themselves, right? So you're going to feel one way or the other about Starbucks. If I say Tom Brady, right, you're going to have some sort of feeling about Tom Brady. Love him, hate him, whatever it is, you're going to feel something. And he also has a brand, right? the TB12 stuff. So he's promoting other things outside of his accomplishments as a football player. So as agents, we're kind of the same way, right? We need to brand ourselves in whatever fashion that suits you and your business. So maybe you're the, oceanfront specialist. Maybe you're the new construction specialist. Maybe you're the guy known for offering $250 worth of tacos for every house you sell. I mean, there's some sort of thing, you want to brand yourself around. It could be, a neighborhood. Maybe you're the neighborhood specialist. So whatever it is that's unique to you, you build your brand around that, and then you market to your brand. Okay. So there's, I don't know how many realtors in this state, 5,000 maybe. You need to do something different to set yourself apart from everybody else, right? So that's really what branding is about. Again, if someone says your name or your tagline or something like that, you want to give them some sort of reaction to it, a positive one, right? So they say your name, they think of whatever your brand is, right? So you got to really think about how you want to brand yourself and stick to it. Okay. So here's some examples, again, of some brands. Any one of those logos you look at, you're going to recognize and you're going to feel, some sort of way about it. Mercedes-Benz, I think quality, right? Um, Yahoo, I think, where the hell have they been for the past 20 years? Adidas, they're great for soccer. So whatever it is, I've got a reaction to it. And I'm sure you guys, do as well. So let's talk a little bit about marketing in general. The chart on the right. So Apple, if you would agree with me, is just a tremendous marketer, right? They do an outstanding job with marketing. You think about, they have specific ways that they release product on certain dates. So there's a lot of anticipation. Then there's long lines at the store, right, to buy the next iPhone or iPad or whatever it is. And out of all of the companies in the U.S. on the stock market, look at the value they have, $508 billion, right? They're ahead of a whole bunch of other people, and it's really because of their marketing strategy, right? And when you talk about marketing, you're talking about all the little things, right? So again, I just talked about one way they do it is by building anticipation. Um, they're also very edgy on their design. Like there were never any squares on any of their products. Everything was rounded all the time. And that was by design, right? Steve Jobs was a very big proponent of being different. So if you go way back to like the Apple II or whatever it was, there were no edges on that thing. It was all round. The first iComputer, I can't remember the name of it. Same thing. It was a round tube. It wasn't a square uh, uh, monitor like it was available on PCs back then. So everything is done by design and intention. The other thing Apple did too is they built their own ecosystem, right? So if you're an iPhone user, you're going to use the iStore, you're going to use iTunes, you're going to use all that stuff in one ecosystem, and it all feeds into each other, right? All done by design, all done on purpose, all done with data that backed it up, right? So they really look at their customer base, they study it, they look at trends, they look at what people are doing, and then they serve a product or a service to that particular type of consumer, right? Another example would be, and this is a non-Apple example, but in a retail environment, right? You walk into CVS, you walk into Walgreens, you walk into like a drugstore like that, the aisles are designed to flow a certain way, and there are products put on shelves at certain levels, like eye level for an adult, that's going to catch you, right, and kind of prompt you to buy it. You're going to see that first. And brands pay to be on certain shelves on stores, right? So if I'm Revlon, right, and I'm in the cosmetics area, I may want to pay extra to be on the top shelf eye level at CVS, right? Versus a lower level brand, they may not have the money or the marketing budget, so they're going to be further down on the shelf, right? Same thing, same example. They may have stuff eye level for children, right? So if you're bringing your son or your daughter, your nephew, niece with you, and you go to the drugstore, there's stuff at eye level for kids that they're going to notice and they're going to want, to purchase for them. And all of you guys have done this. I'm sure you have. You're in the checkout line and there's that last minute item that's right in front of you and you just grab it because you see it in front of you. So those are the ideas around marketing that, if you pay attention to trends and what people are doing, things are designed to catch your eye, right? And make you do something. So just to back up a little bit, so marketing really, it's about defining and growing a market for your brand, right? So like I said earlier, if you're the neighborhood specialist, right, that's your market, that neighborhood. If you're a new construction person, that's your niche. Oceanfront, golf courses, condos, multifamilies, investors, whatever it is that you're trying to market to, you need to define that market. Maybe you like working with buyers, maybe you like working with investors, whatever it is, you're going to define that market or markets, right? Because it could be multiple. And then you're going to wrap your marketing around your brand, right? So you want to get conversions from a market to a sale and then eventually a profit. And then marketing strategy is really guided around your marketing plan, right? So would you agree that we're all business owners, right? We're all business owners. We all own our own businesses, which means we've got goals. We've got either maybe it's a CGI goal, maybe it's a volume goal, maybe it's a number of units goal. But at the end of the day, there's money involved, right? So the number of units that you sell, transact, result in some sort of dollar amount. And out of that money, there's a profit, right? And there's an operating expense, and there should be a marketing budget in there as well. So what you need to do is figure out, what your goals are for your business. Let's say you want to make 150,000 in GCI, and then sort of work those numbers around to back out into a marketing budget. So maybe your marketing budget is, $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month. That's your budget. And then now you need to create a strategy around that. How are you going to spend that money? Is it going to be on social media? Is it going to be print? Is it going to be any number of ways to market? That's what you need to decide and and wrap a strategy around that, right? And that strategy fits into your marketing plan, right? So that you're going after the audience that you're looking for, and it's wrapped around your brand. So they all sort of tie together. Okay. So a little bit more about strategy. So like I just said, once you figure out, what your business goals are and you back out a marketing budget, now is the time to sit down and think about how am I going to market to my defined customer base, right? And we're all going to do this differently, and we're going to use one or more vehicles to get there. So maybe social media is a great way for some of us to market ourselves, right? Maybe advertising, like a billboard or in a magazine or something like that. Maybe it's co-marketing with a business, maybe your lender or your title attorney. Maybe it's writing blogs. Maybe it's sending email, like on drip campaigns. I mean, all of these things are different ways to go about marketing yourself, marketing your property. You just need to figure out what that strategy is, and then either A, stick to it if it's working, or B, make adjustments if it's not working, right? So not all social media will work for all realtors, right? And same thing with print marketing. Maybe print marketing isn't something that you like to do or doesn't work for you, right? So if you got a plan and you got social media in there and you got print marketing and one or the other isn't working, just adjust, right? So take the money. Let's say you're killing it on social media and print really isn't doing that well. Well, take your print budget and just double down on social media, right? It makes sense. So you just need to have a strategy and follow it and then be consistent and then make adjustments when things aren't working. Okay. So this is the big piece of marketing. So now that you've got your audience defined, you've got your marketing budget, you've got your marketing strategy. Now it really comes down to execution, right? So this is where a lot of us fail. So you want to offer a valuable service that you can execute consistently, right? So what does that mean as a realtor, right? So depending on, what your particular specialty is, let's say you're a listing agent, that's what you prefer to do. You want to make sure that you've got a service that is defined, that sets you apart from all of the other agents around here, that people understand, and that you can deliver consistently, right? So whatever that looks like to you, that's what you need to work on. Okay. Again, you want to identify, your target audience. So however you define that, that's what you need to figure out and target, right? So again, I'll go back to like the neighborhood example. Maybe you're really known in a community, right? Um, like myself, for example, I've coached soccer, I've coached baseball, I'm involved in some community stuff, and people know me, right? So I've coached probably, I don't know, 60, 70 kids. And, I know their parents, they know me. That's a great target audience for me, right? So they know me, they like me, they'll probably do business with me because I'm active, in the community. Maybe you belong to a golf course, you're a golf member at somewhere, or maybe you have some sort of hobby that you share with other people. That could be your potential audience. Or, like I said, maybe you want to concentrate on new construction, right? So those sorts of things. Maybe you want to make relationships with contractors and builders, right? That could be your target audience. Um, Condo specialists, all of these different things, whatever it is you're trying to determine, is your target audience, and you want to market to them. Okay. And of course, they need to find value in your service. So you're going to tweak your message as you go along. So making your services easily accessible, right? And always asking and always trying to close business, right? So that's what we're all about. So what this really means is whatever you're marketing, it's got to be easily digestible, right? So people have to see it and automatically understand what it is that you're saying or providing without having too much thought behind it, right? Humans are lazy. They want information fed to them, bullet points, real quick blurbs. That's if you can digest a message that way, it just makes it easier for people to understand it and move on. And as they're understanding, obviously you're always asking for business and always closing, right? So I talked about the marketing, the marketing budget, and this is where cost effective comes into play. So you want to make sure, whatever budget you have, you want to make it cost effective, right? So obviously a billboard costs, let's say $5,000, and you don't have $5,000 in your budget for a billboard. Well, that's probably not a good idea for you to invest that money. Maybe you take that 5,000 and invest it in social media ads or some postcards or, mailers, whatever it is. Just figure out what your budget is and, find the most effective, cost effective way to use that dollar, right? And still reach your target audience. Communicating well, consistently, and frequently, right? So this is important. You want to make sure, again, that your message is easily digestible, right? It's easy to read, easy to see. It's consistent. That's a big one, right? So you want to make sure that whatever it is you're doing, don't do it once or twice and then get frustrated because it's not working. It takes a long time to build, an audience through whatever vehicle you're using. So let's say you're doing geo farming in a neighborhood, right? You really want to be the neighborhood expert somewhere, and you send a mailer out to 300 households, and you don't get anything. Um, that's probably correct. You're probably not going to get anything that very first time. You're going to have to like send another 300, and then you're probably going to have to walk around that neighborhood. Oh, and you're probably going to have to like go to some yard sales or whatever it is that's going on in that community to get yourself out in front of people. So consistently and frequently are the ways, you do that stuff. And let's say, I'll use another example. Let's go back to the builders, right? So if you're a new construction person, the first time you meet with a contractor or a builder, they're probably not going to give you their business. It's going to take, multiple efforts to get there. And you guys know this, right? We're all in the same business. The chances of us getting a listing or a buyer agreement the first time, maybe you can do it. But more often than not, it takes multiple efforts, right, to get in front of somebody. Same idea with communication, and then repeat and expand the process. So if you find that you're executing properly and it's working for you on your strategy, then just keep repeating it, right? and expanding it. So if something's working well, just add to it. And again, if it's not working well, take it away. So let's talk about the different marketing platforms that are available. So there's a ton of them available to all of us right now. So there's always traditional print, right? So postcards, flyers, magazines, billboards, all different ways that you can do a few things, right? You can market yourself, uh, do your branding exercises, um, market your properties that you've got listed, right? Um, try to attract buyers, right? You can do all of these things through traditional print. So again, I'll go back to the geo farming example. So if you want to target a neighborhood and you want to send postcards saying, "Hey, I'm your local, real estate expert in XYZ neighborhood," blah 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 blah. Have a great call to action, right? So when they get it, they don't throw it in the trash. They actually do something with it. And you want to do that maybe in a variety of ways, right? Maybe you want to send a postcard, then maybe send a flyer, right? Another way to get in touch with people is, digital messaging. So we use email and text a lot. Probably text is more effective right now. But let's say you have an open house, right? And people come and you capture their information. You want to put them on a follow-up campaign, right? So you want to send them an email or a text or whatever it is that, will keep them in touch with you and top of mind. Or maybe you're looking for new business, right, in a neighborhood, and you can buy a list of email and phone numbers, right, as well as addresses, and go back to your geo farming. And so you send a postcard to that geo farm, you follow up with a phone call or follow up with a text, and just try and use a bunch of different platforms to get in touch with people. And then social media, of course, is a huge one, right? I mean, we're all on social media, pretty much every day. So depending on, your platform of choice, maybe you love, Facebook, or maybe it's Twitter, maybe it's TikTok, maybe it's LinkedIn. Whatever it is that, you're comfortable with, um, is a great way to get in touch with people, right? So, and it's not always about social media ads. It's really about posts and being engaged with your audience, right? So again, I'll go back to the neighborhood, example. So if you're active in a neighborhood and you're trying to like be the neighborhood specialist, there's probably a neighborhood Facebook group out there somewhere that you can participate in. And if there's not, you can create one. Um, Stay active in that group and just post occasionally. And it doesn't always have to be about real estate, but throw real estate in there, occasionally, just to remind people, what you're about. Um, Social media is really good for ads, and it's really good for posts of your own. So again, depending on what you're comfortable with and what type of audience you have or trying to build, you choose the platform that you're most comfortable with and just work it. So here are some social media post ideas. So a lot of realtors get hung up on, oh, I don't know what to post. It's like, should I post this? Should I post that? So here's just a few examples of things that I've seen other realtors have success with, myself as well. So one really cool one is a day in the life video. So what does that mean? You could have your cell phone in your car, turn the video on, you're driving to a listing appointment, and just talk about how crazy your morning was, right? So, yeah, first I went to Starbucks, I got a coffee, now I'm on my way to a listing appointment. I almost got rear-ended at the last red light. Just whatever happens, in that day, just a real quick video to kind of, lighten it up for people. And then also give them an understanding of, the stuff that you do as a realtor, right? Contests or giveaways. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but these types of posts get, they get a lot of engagement. So like if you were to post, let's say you put a picture of a house up there, right, in a neighborhood, and you have, hey, guess what price this house is going to be listed at? I can guarantee you're going to get some engagement with that, right? And then you say closest to the number, you get a $25, gift certificate, Amazon card, whatever it is. Or you could do count the number of, jelly beans in this jar kind of thing, right? So anything sort of a contest with a giveaway, you're gonna get engagement. And then depending on your personality, it could be something more serious or something less serious. It depends on how you are with your audience. This is a big one too, like promote a local business or a community event. So again, going back to the neighborhood thing, if you're, trying to get known in a neighborhood, maybe you go to the shake place a lot, right? Place that makes nutritional shakes. Um, post on Instagram where you are, right, and hold a picture of the product in front of you, and just tag that business, right? Do stuff like that, or go to a community event. Maybe it's a little league game or a soccer game or a yard sale, whatever it is. Post a picture of yourself there with someone else or something funny, and do that regularly. This is another cool one too. You could do a video series. So maybe you want to do a series around the steps it takes to list a house, right? Or the steps it takes to purchase a house. Um, how do you buy homeowners insurance? All these kind of things that you could build a series around. The thing about the series is you need to be consistent with it, right? So if you're going to start it and you say, hey, I'm going to have a 5 video series on how to list a house or how to get a house ready to list, make sure you do the 5 of them and do them all, like, let's say on Tuesdays. So next Tuesday, I'm going to have my first video. It's going to be on step 1 of how do you list your home, right? And then that Tuesday, you do that video and you follow it up with next Tuesday, I'm going to have step 2, right? And it's going to be about this part of the process. So whatever it is that you're going to do, just make sure you line it out and you're consistent about it. This is also a good one too. So highlight a business or a partnership. So again, if you want to, you have a business partner that you want to work with, a cool thing to do is maybe have an interview with them, right? So maybe it's the owner of the shake place I talked about. Have a quick little interview like, hey, how long have you been in business? What's your favorite part of this neighborhood? Anything like that. Do a real quick video. Again, post it, tag their location, tag yourself. It's just a good way to get your name out there, right? And then you're showing that you're active in the community. And then this one's kind of popular too. And again, this kind of goes back to the consistency example. So maybe you want to do a throwback Thursday post, every Thursday. Or me, people know me for Taco Tuesday. So typically on Tuesdays, I'll post something funny about tacos, right? And it's funny because people get used to it, and then they'll send me posts like off days saying, "Hey, I thought of you when I saw this taco thing." So it's kind of funny. Mindful Mondays, Saturdays with Sean, Wednesdays with Wendy. I mean, anything like that is kind of cool. And just make sure you stay consistent with it, right? So again, it's just a way to keep yourself out there and tied to your brand and all that good stuff. And I would recommend that you create a social media calendar, right? So for yourself, that way like every Monday I'm going to do a day in the life video, right? And every Friday I'm going to do Freestyle Friday video, whatever it is, and just stay consistent with it. It doesn't have to be every day. It's as often or not as you want to, but the key is to be consistent and keep driving that same message. All right, so let's talk about call to action. So you guys have probably seen ads. We've all seen ads. Some work, some get you to engage, and some don't, right? So here's a couple of examples of just by changing a couple of things, it made the conversion rate much higher. So the first example, get your membership. That was the first way that this particular call to action went out, and there was not a lot of clicks on that, right? They changed it to find your gym and get membership, and then the increase was 213% just by changing the front end to find your gym. And I'm going to tell you why that's important. There's something called WIFM. Everybody's tuned into it. it means what's in it for me, right? So everybody wants to know what's in it for me. By making it more personal, like find your gym and get a membership, makes people more apt to click on that button. As crazy as it sounds, that's the way it works. And if you look at the bottom example, the same idea. Start your free 30-day trial, change your to my. So start my free 30-day trial, change the increase by 90%, right? So it's kind of like the way you say things is really important, or the way you write things is really important. Always got to be thinking the consumer is saying, what's in it for me, right? So what's in it for me? So here's an example of a website for an agency out in Mexico. So if you look at, I mean, it's a cool listing, right? $7 million. But if you look at the call to action at the bottom, I can't see it on my screen. What? Oh, sorry. Sign up now. It's saying sign up to receive this agency's email newsletters and be the first to learn about off-market listings, open houses, etc. Right? And there's the big call to action right there, sign up now. So maybe they're not interested in that particular property, but hey, maybe they want off-market listings, right? So it's a cool way to get someone to sign up. So next example is another call to action here. So this is an active listing. So this is the second screen that they see. First screen they see is the actual house, but as soon as they click on it, this is what pops up, right? And the call to action is either sign up with Facebook or continue with Facebook. This is a Facebook ad, or use your email instead. So depending on, what this person wants, if they're interested in getting more details, they're going to click on continue with Facebook, and I'm going to capture their information, right? I'm going to capture their email address, their name, and their phone number, or they can use their email instead. Either way, but in order for them to get more information, they've got to click on that, okay? And then here's another call to action. So this is the back side of a postcard. So this postcard goes out when a new house is listed. So the front part of this card is really just a picture of the home with some detail. But on the back side, you can see the call to action on the left. When this house is sold, the one that just listed, it's going to affect your home's value. So aren't you curious to find out what your home is worth? And it's free, right? So all you need to do is go to this particular URL right here, and you can look up what your home's value is. Okay. Are there any questions in the chat? No? Okay. I went fast. All right. So key takeaways from this. One is define your brand. So again, we talked a lot about this. You really need to figure out, if you haven't already, which many of us have, what your brand is, what you're all about, what you offer, right, as an agent. Determine your marketing strategy. So again, as business owners, we're responsible for a lot of things, right? Not only are we realtors, but we're business owners, we're salespeople, we're problem solvers, we're marketers, right? So depending on, again, what your brand is and what you want to bring to your consumers, you need to have a strategy to get there. So figure out what vehicles you're going to use, what your budget is, and then create your calendar and then your strategy. Determine your audience. Again, we talked a lot about this. Figure out who it is you're targeting. Is it the entire state of Rhode Island? Is it Rhode Island and Southern Mass? Is it just buyers? Is it just sellers? Is it a particular type of seller? Is it a price point that you're looking at? Is it a location? So, all of these things need to be considered when you're determining who your audience is, right? Very, very important, because honestly, without determining who you're targeting, your strategy and all of that messaging is really not going to line up, right? So all of these things have to to be aligned in order for you to be effective as a marketer. This one is really important, right? So ROI, return on investment. So every dollar you spend, you should, into marketing, you should expect some sort of return. So I'll go back to the earlier example. Let's say you're investing $200 a month in print and $400 a month in social media, and maybe a couple $100 a month on some other type of marketing, right? You got to look at your entire budget and then figure out where you're converting, right? So let's say I'm converting really well with social media, right? So for every $400 a month that I'm spending on social media, I'm getting, let's say, one listing out of it, right? Great, that's awesome, right? So I'm $400 I'm spending, I'm getting a listing in return. Perfect. Let's say print, right? I'm doing $200 a month. And again, you got to look at this month over month. And 1 or 2 months is no way to measure your ROI. Whatever you're investing in, I would consider anything under 6 months unmeasurable, right? So you got to give it at least 6 months. As long as you're consistent in those 6 months, you'll then be able to measure whether or not you're getting a return on that money. So if you're killing it in social media, $400 a month, and you're getting at least one listing every month, and then you've done 6 months of print advertising at $200 a month and got nothing, I would probably change my strategy a little bit, right? I would say, all right, so if I'm getting one listing with 400, maybe I'll take that 200 I'm doing in print and getting nothing out of it, and I'm going to add that now to my social media budget. So maybe by adding that $200, I get another listing out of it, right? So now instead of spending $400 for one listing, I'm spending $600 for 2 listings, right? So the key there is really to measure, what your return is. You always want to be watching that. And again, I think 6 months is probably a good baseline. Anything less than that, maybe you'll get, a couple of things, but it's not enough to measure. So whatever you're investing in, give it 6 months. So, going back to your strategy, when you're thinking about your marketing for the year, and if you haven't already and you're just doing it now, that's fine too. Think about what you want to spend, over the next 6 months, and assume you'll get a little bit of return out of it. But really, just put 6 months out there and say, I am spending this much money in the next 6 months, no matter what, right? That way, you've got the budget, and then you can be consistent, and you don't have to stop and adjust in that 6 month period. And ROI is really important to a business owner because you want to watch, where your money's flowing, right? So if things are going really well in one area, awesome. And if they're not going well in another area, either you don't necessarily have to abandon ship on something that's not working. It could be your call to action's not correct. It could be like the images aren't correct. It's not visual enough. Maybe your message isn't easily digestible. So you don't necessarily have to flush that campaign, but maybe you need to adjust it, right? By one of those few things I just mentioned. That way there, you can continue that through that 6 month period and just adjust the content a little bit, right? Maybe your call to action isn't strong. Maybe it's colors. It could be a variety of things, but you just want to make sure you got that investment in your head. And at that 6 month period, you're watching it, right? To make sure that what I'm putting out is, what I'm expecting is coming back. Okay. And red light, green light, this is kind of what I was just talking about, where, you want to watch where your money's going. And, if you feel like something's not right, put the red light on it and figure out, okay, I'm going to stop for a minute and figure out whether or not I want to continue this campaign or just flush it completely and start with something new, right? So that's what I mean by red light. And then green light obviously is, hey, this thing's working really well. I'm just going to keep going. There's no need for me to change or stop or even slow down with it because everything's looking good. And the last one is really, really, I mean, this is super important. It's really just to be consistent, right? So again, if I go back to the 6 month, strategy, whatever it is that you design your strategy to be, let's say you're going to post on social media twice a week, You're going to run 2 ads a week on Instagram and Facebook. You're going to do neighborhood mailers, once a month, uh, quarterly emails to your sphere, whatever that looks like to you, just do it and be consistent with it, right? And believe me, it's hard, right? Because we all get busy, we get wrapped up in deals, and we get tied up in all sorts of stuff. And if we aren't consistent with it, then we won't really be able to measure whether the marketing activity is working correctly or not, which kind of affects your ROI and then your red light, green light. So it kind of all ties together. So if you're not consistent, you're not going to be able to effectively measure what your return is on your marketing efforts. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So that brings me to the end. I would like to open up either you can ask questions on chat or feel free to, come off mute and ask questions at this point. Any questions? No?
We'll talk about our part 3 session we have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if there aren't any questions, either I did an amazing job of explaining marketing or I lost you guys a long time ago. I don't know which one it was. But yeah, I do want to do a couple of things. First, thanks for attending, and wanted to make you aware of what's coming up next month. So next month we're beginning a 3-month or 3-part series of the current market, in real estate. And I'm going to be doing interviews with some subject matter experts in our industry to talk about, let's say, financing or title issues or, that sort of thing. Just kind of what's going on in this crazy market right now. That way, you guys can get more knowledge on what's going on out there. Okay. So that will begin in March. Looks like there's a question in the chat box.
Yeah, thanks everybody very much.
All right. Awesome. Appreciate that comment. All right, cool. So I will end the meeting. Again, thank you for signing up, and look out for an email and announcement for the upcoming series. Thanks, everyone.